Ah, bonjour. Je m'appelle Francois Haberdashery Letois, and welcome to Wolfinia. This is episode 247 of my Minecraft survival series. Now, while we are starting this episode here in Wolfinia, we will not be staying here in Wolfinia for this episode. I just came by here to pick up some stuff real quick because I told y'all last episode that we probably had one more episode to do at the Eclipse Outpost before that was finally complete. Yeah, that might have been a lie. I'll explain why in a minute. Now, before we get into anything else, let me go ahead and explain why I am a dirty, filthy liar. You guys might remember last episode, I said I was pretty happy with the overall structure of the Eclipse Outpost, and while I do like how the main building looks, what I'm not satisfied with is this, like the views from it, from the edges, from the far boundaries of the Eclipse Outpost. It's like, we can't even see the full thing, right? I mean, we've extended the building up, but I'm thinking in order to match its new height, we're going to need to go a little bit further out because I am a bit underwhelmed and I don't like feeling underwhelmed. So, what we might do is expand the grounds of the Eclipse Outpost so we can get a better view. Maybe not this far out. That's a little much. All right. So I think I figured out how far we're going to go out with our new platform. So I've placed little stone pillars with torches on them at each of the far edges of the perimeter. So you can see there's one right here. We have another one over here on this side somewhere. It's centered with the structure here, so let me just kind of orient myself real quick. All right, and there it is right there. So there is the pillar for this side, and over here we have one just barely into the jungle on this side. So yeah, we're going to make a fairly wide platform in the shape of, I'll give you a second to guess what shape we're going for. Yeah, you got it. Go figure. It's a circle. It's me, of course it's a circle. Now, this is going to be a huge circle. It's going to be a very, very big circle. We got a lot of ground to cover, which means not only do we have to build out our platform, but we also have to get rid of all the trees that I've planted inside of where this platform is going to be. It's going to be a lot of work, which is why we might be here for a little while. So, I don't have my jump boost all the way out here. That's fine. What we need to do now is go ahead and start planning out our circle, planning out our new platform, clearing out all these trees, and just making room for this really unnecessary project. And that is actually what I'm in the mood to do right now, so we're going to get into it right now. At this point, let's go ahead and call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and get to work. Welcome back, everybody. I have made a mess here, but I think that's fine. You know, I'll go through here and clean it up, get rid of all the remaining stumps that are left. I ended up burning most of the forest down since, you know, I didn't feel like chopping it down. So we missed out on some resources, but on the bright side, we've got a pattern in here for our new platform. And, I mean, as far as the platform goes, you know what? I'm liking it. I'm thinking I can work with it. You know, I was in the mood to do something grindy today, and I think this qualifies, though I may have bitten off a little bit more than I can chew. But on the bright side, I think that when this is done, it's going to offer some amazing views and just generally make this area look a whole lot better, right? So, yeah. You know, I can almost justify what I've just gotten myself into. Now, when you play with fire, some stuff is going to get burned. That's just a fact of life, especially if that stuff is flammable. And some of the stuff I had around here is flammable, so I'm going to need to replace some of it. For instance, these slabs right here are going to need to be replaced. There's also some bushes up here that are going to need to be replaced, but we can handle all that. That's no big deal. Now, as far as all these stumps go, a lot of this will be covered up by the platform, and we won't really need to worry about it. But anything that's sticking up above the platform, I'll go ahead and knock out once we get to that point. Now, you may ask, do I have any regrets about setting everything on fire? No. I have regrets about not setting more stuff on fire. I have regrets about not being thorough enough. Now, granted, it is a little irresponsible to burn down a bunch of acacia, especially considering we need acacia for Wolfen's Labs, and acacia just so happens to be one of the logs. Crap. Y'all didn't see that. Just pretend I collected it. I mean, look at all this acacia we've wasted. One more log ain't gonna make a difference, alright? Just shush. Alright, slab top is in. Looking good, looking good. Now I need to go ahead and replace some of my bushes and also fix whatever I did right here. I have no idea why this is like that. Now, that's not the only issue we're going to need to address with this pillager spawning structure. You see, the back here is not complete because we had trees hiding it before. There was no real point to completing it. But now that that's all going to be visible, that is something we're going to need to address. Just not right now. And just in case this needs to be said, the whole purpose of all the slabs and the leaves and stuff is just to make sure we don't have stuff spawning where it shouldn't be spawning. So now that that's taken care of, we're going to step away from the platform project for just a little bit. We will return to this a little bit later in this episode, but for right now I want to step away from it and focus on our villagers. Because these guys need their own rooms. I promised them their own rooms. Dang it, they're going to get their own rooms. Now you would think step one of giving these villagers their own rooms would be putting walls up, right? That's actually not the case. I want to change up more up here than that. Number one, I want to change up the floor because the floor up here, it doesn't really go with the floor down there. And you know what? I like the floor down there better, so we're going to change this out. Now, obviously, we don't want it raining villagers down upon the Eclipse Outpost, so we're going to need to make sure they get to a safe area where they're not going to be plummeting through a non-existent floor. That safe area is going to be this middle area right here. Now, I'm going to briefly confine you guys for your own safety, and I don't want to hear any attitude, alright? I better not hear y'all stomping your feet, because you know what? That's dangerous when you're on top of glass. Today's forecast ain't cloudy with a chance of villagers. Now, as far as you go, Cal, I'm going to have to ask you to move along as well, because it's about to get real dangerous up here. So, you just need to plummet down this hole real quick. Don't worry, I'm coming too. To make sure you're fine, I'm fine, we're both fine. Bovine. So y'all remember how I told you step one wasn't going to be the walls? Turns out step one is going to be the walls. So, as far as one of these villager rooms, I'm thinking we could do something like this and probably put the bed right here, right? And that covers the center room for one of our villagers. Now, we are going to have rooms on either side of this, and whatever we do over here, we could do over here. So what we could possibly do is from this diagonal, just put in another little wall right here, and then we could extend that this way, and then we do the same thing over here, because both these sides should mirror each other, right? Which means that we'd have another center room placed right here. This will also be the far wall of that diagonal room. Yeah, I mean, pretty easy rinse and repeat. We would also need to extend this. I mean, yeah. That's simple enough, right? Alright, that is it for the division of the room. So we got all our walls planned out. We also had a visitor while we were getting this in. Now, we do need to get him put away before we start working on our floor, because that is the next step. And this is actually the perfect time, because everybody's going Betty by now. So, why don't you come in here and just watch over them? That's what you like to do, right? Try to step on anybody while they're sleeping. People tend not to like that. Just, excuse me. Just tiptoe. Try to tiptoe. Now it's time to shift our focus down to the floor. So let me go ahead and get the old floor torn out, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do with it. All right, we've finished demolishing the floor, and right now I'm collecting it because we will repurpose this as something else. Now, before we start putting in our floor, we're going to need something for our floor to sit on top of, because gray concrete can't just float in the sky. Now, I'm thinking I want something kind of dark gray, and I'm thinking some deep slate should do it. Or at least the slab version of one of the deep slate variants. Why don't I cobble my deep slate as I get it? That's so stupid. There we go. Yeah, that should be enough. Oh, duh. Ow. Now, in order to do what I want to do here, this floor is going to be 3 layers thick. So the bottom layer is going to be this stuff right here. Then on top of this, we'll put our gray concrete and our birch. And then on top of that, we will place our glass. First things first, though. Just going to make sure we get a nice base in here, so that way I stop falling through the bottom. Alright, so there we go. This place is a little bit safer for me to wander now. These villagers decide to adopt a cat. And that's a big responsibility. I don't know if these villagers are up to it, because they brought this cat home to a construction area. You know what I'm saying? Alright, at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and start getting in a sample section of one of these floors. That way we can see what it looks like. I mean, we know what it's going to look like. Pretty much the same thing we did down here, but I want to see what it looks like up there. So that's one of our rooms done. Though the entrance into the room, like the stair step down thing, doesn't really work. We don't want to put a full block in there, though, because I'm paranoid, especially when it comes to villagers. So, no. Maybe glass is the way to go. Yeah, I think that the glass is probably our best option. I can roll with that. So now we know what we're doing with our floors, right? So we can shift focus back to our walls and just make sure we have a good idea of how these are going to look. I think I'm getting there. Like, I'm getting a pretty good idea of what I want to do, but it's kind of just like going back and forth trying to figure out what I want to keep, what I want to get rid of, you know? But I don't know, I'm ready to start building at this point. I know the villagers are getting impatient, so maybe we should just go ahead and get into it, right? At this point, let's go ahead and call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and see what we can do with this place. Welcome back, everybody. Our villagers have their own rooms now. They got this area up here available to them, and I think it actually looks kind of cool. They got their little hangout area over here. They got a food prep area over here. We got some food stocked up for them. We made sure to put in enough seating for everybody, and then everybody's got their rooms. I mean, they're kind of plain, but the villagers can, you know, feel free to customize their rooms as they see fit. Y'all, of course, don't need my permission for that. Just make sure it's appropriate. Oh yeah, we got this guy who's going to be patrolling the areas, providing security for our villagers. I don't know where the cat went. Maybe downstairs with the cow? We're about to make our way down there. Well, not down there, but down to the platform here, because that's where we're going to start working on next. Because at this point, I think we can call the structure done. We can call the interiors done, the exteriors done. All that's left is everything outside of it. Oh yeah, and I changed up the elevators. Got rid of the fence gates, put in some trap doors. That way we can just crouch and go through rather than having to open and close stuff, and the villagers can't fall since they can't crouch. Hey, y'all can't crouch, right? Now, as far as what we're going to be doing on the platform, I have these areas separated into different sections, all right? So we have stone brick for this inner section right here. We'll go ahead and fill this all in with stone brick. Basically, we're going to be using a lot of the blocks that we have a huge surplus of that I need to get rid of. Now, when we were getting the pattern in, I was thinking we'd also do the stone brick slabs back here, but I'm kind of reconsidering that now. I'm thinking we could do something else back here that might actually look a little bit better, a little bit greener, a little bit more vibrant, while also using a lot of the blocks that we have in surplus, right? If we were to fill in this entire back area with some stone and then hit it with that moss and then bone meal it, that would really liven this up, I think. And my intention was to add the green in here, inside these circles. I was planning on adding green terracotta, a lot like what we have down here. But I'm thinking maybe white concrete would be better in those areas. Something a little bit brighter. Maybe add some sea lanterns for lighting. I don't know. We'll see. One thing I do know is I'm going to go ahead and take the beacon out of here since it is no longer really of use to us at the Eclipse Outpost. I'm going to bring this back to Wolfinia. Because we're going to need lots of emeralds in Wolfinia, not just for villager trading, but you might remember that the whole reason we built this farm, this pillager raid farm, is to get tons and tons of emeralds because we're going to be putting beacons all over Wolfinia, not just the beacons we have. We're going to be triple buffing those beacons, you know what I'm saying? If you don't know what I'm saying, don't even worry about it. I don't even know what I'm saying half the time. I forgot to tell you guys, right now is shopping time. Getting all the supplies together that we're going to need for the forthcoming filling in of our circle. So once I'm satisfied, we got everything we need, I'll be back with you guys. Alright, so I went ahead and got in some sample sections in here just to see how everything would look. And I think it's hard to tell because there's so much open area. But you know what? I think we're just going to roll with it. Because I do want to see some progress in this episode, and while I do have a little bit of time left, I'm not sure if I have enough time to get all of this done, because there is a lot of area that's going to need to be filled in here, flooded, dressed up. Oh boy. Why do I do this to myself? Why? Alright, we need to get going. At this point, let's go ahead and call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and get to work. Hi. We're not done yet. No, I underestimated the amount of cobblestone I would need by just a teensy bit here. So I am going to make a supply run back to Wolfinia. But I just want to take a little break from this, fly around and see how it was looking, and just kind of bring you guys in as I was doing that so you could see the progress we're making while I sacrifice my sleep. And I know nobody asked me to do that, but I'm doing it because I feel like it. I want to see some progress here. So that's where we are. Oh, how you get yourself in these situations, Jacques? You just talk about progress. You made enough progress, you can't stop. You want to make more progress. It's ridiculous is what it is. That's how you get yourself in situations like this. You learn when enough is enough. Oh, that was a nice break. Nice to come back here to Wolfinia for all of 1 minute. All right, drone is still over there flying around. We need to get back over there too. So at this point, let's put the music back on. Get back to work. Ow! Welcome back, everybody. So this is where our progress ends for today. I flooded this area because I wanted to get a better idea of what it's going to look like by the time we're finished. And to be honest, I am a little underwhelmed. I see some changes that I am going to want to make to this. Let me talk you through some of them. Or at least let me talk you through my thoughts as of right now. So, looking at this, we need more variation. Like this stone brick area will look good with the green terracotta. If we would have done green terracotta all throughout this area, that could have looked kind of cool, but then again, that's a lot of terracotta. We could go over both these areas with some kind of slab that's waterlogged, some kind of waterlogged slab. That might work to provide the variation we need. But basically, the problem is it's such a big area and there's not a whole lot of variation in it, you know? So, I mean, now that I've caught on to that, though, we can adjust accordingly, and hopefully I'll have some ideas by next episode as to what we can do here. But, you know, it's good progress, and, you know, it's a fun little experiment to try to do stuff I haven't done before. And that's what these areas are for, you know? These areas way out here in the middle of nowhere, we can kind of experiment and have fun with it. Fun. Yeah, that's the word I want. You know what I could have done if I wanted a good view? Instead of building all this, I could have just sat on top of the tree out here and looked at it from here, but no. Trees out here ain't good enough for me. I don't know, who am I kidding? I enjoy doing stuff like this, and it's going to be worth it by the time we're done, right? Let's hope. But on top of all this, we did finally manage to house our villagers properly, give them their own space, and that is a big fat check mark in the win column. So we will be back here next episode, but I think that is where we're going to have to call it for this one. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please be sure to hit that little thumbs up button. That would mean a whole lot to me. And if you want to see more of Wolfinia, please remember to subscribe. But as always, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, I am Lavender Boop Boop Badoop. And I will see you guys later.